Good evening, lovely booktubers. So I decided to do another book tag video. I had a really good time with the one that I uploaded the other day. So this one was started by Book 11 Lover. Information is down there, and it's called Facts About Your Books. And I hereby tag everyone who happens to be watching this video. Feel free to do a video response with your answers, or post it to your own channel, or you can ignore me completely. Either way is fine. I'm easy to get along with. Okay. Question 1. How many books do you have in your collection? On my Kindle, I currently have 432 books. I was a little surprised when I saw how many I had, but I have had a Kindle for over 3 years. I have a new one now. I got it for my birthday in October, but I've had one for about 3 years. As far as actual hard copy books, when I moved in April, I ended up getting rid of a lot of my books. And I seriously regret it now. But hopefully next year at this time, I will have a more significant book collection. But I would probably say that at the moment I have less than 40 or 50 books. Question 2. What books haven't you read that everyone else has? The 2 books that popped into my head immediately would be Catching Fire and Mockingjay from the Hunger Games trilogy. I have read the first book. It did take me forever to get through it. It was one of those things where I would pick it up and put it back down and pick it up and put it back down at least 3 or 4 times before I was finally able to finish it. I did end up really liking it. Yeah, and I'm excited to see the movie. I'm not really sure why I haven't read the other 2 books. I'm sure I will eventually. As far as new books go, Divergent by Veronica Roth and Delirium by Lauren Oliver. It seems like everybody I know on Goodreads and fellow booktubers have read them, but I haven't gotten around to them yet. I do plan to, though. Next question. A book you were surprised you didn't like. I think I've already talked about this, but The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. I had to write the author's name down because I am trying to block this book from my memory. This book seems to be very polarizing. Either you absolutely love it and think it's brilliant, or you absolutely hate it. And unfortunately, I am in the hate group. Yeah, it was one of those books where I finished it and I literally wanted to take it and throw it up against the wall, and then pick it up off the floor, put it out in my driveway, and run over it a few times. Yeah, it pissed me off so much, which is doubly disappointing because I was really looking forward to it, and it was one of those things where I saw the cover and I read the synopsis for it, and it just sounded so good, and I ended up being so disappointed with it. And the other book, which again might surprise some people, was Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. I am a huge Tina Fey fan, and I really expected to love this book, but to me it was very, very boring. It was totally not what I expected. Yeah, so next question. What book has a very shocking ending? Okay, there were 2 that I came up with. The first one was Along Came a Spider by James Patterson, which I believe was the very first Alex Cross novel. And usually if I'm reading a mystery or whatever, I usually can figure out who the killer is pretty quickly. I'm not bragging or anything, it's just my mom was the same way. But this book genuinely surprised me. I was not expecting the ending, and I haven't read a James Patterson book in a very, very long time, but I used to read everything he wrote, and it's still my favorite book by him. And the other book was And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I don't know if any of you have read this book. This book was beyond disturbing. The ending of this book was very, very creepy and incredibly dark, and I was so surprised when I read this book because I wasn't expecting the ending at all. I wasn't expecting how dark it was, and just, I almost want to say morbid. It's not really morbid, but yeah, I mean, I can't really talk about the plot because this is a book you have to read for yourself. And I've read other books by Agatha Christie, especially when I was growing up. And this one is by far, in my opinion, her best. Just, yeah. I know they made a movie out of it, and I never saw the movie, but yeah, it was one of those books where I finished it and then I couldn't get it out of my head for like days afterwards because it bothered me so much. Okay. Okay. Can I say okay a few more times? It's late and I'm cranky, so bear with me. Next question. What is your favorite genre of books? Definitely YA, obviously. Besides YA, I love fantasy. I love horror. Yeah, those are really my top three. But YA far and away is my favorite. What book can you not wait to come out? Okay, I came up with three. The first two are probably not at all surprising to anybody who's watched my other videos, but Clockwork Princess and City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare, because I'm such a huge fan of hers. And the third one I came up with was the second book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bones series by Laini Taylor, because I absolutely flipping loved the first book, and I thought that was going to be a standalone book. I didn't know it was going to be a series, so imagine my surprise when she gives me this humongous cliffhanger at the end of Daughter of Smoke and Bone. And then imagine how annoyed I was when I saw that it wasn't coming out until like the middle of 2012. Yeah. But definitely those are the three books that I'm just dying to get my hands on. Okay, who are your favorite characters? I could literally sit here for 45 minutes and list off 100 characters that I love, but I am limiting myself to four. First and foremost, my favorite male character would be Sam Roth from the Wolves of Mercy Falls series. I am obsessed with that series right now. I've read the first two books. I was getting ready to start the last book in the series, Forever, and I stopped myself from reading it because I don't want the series to be over. So I'm putting it down, and I'm going to go back to it in like a week or so because I've devoured the first two books in the series. He is just my ideal male character. He's just so sweet. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's romantic, and he just loves Grace with everything he has. He's just such an amazing, amazing character. Now, the second one is actually three characters in one book, but they all really can't exist without the other, so I'm putting them all together. And that would be Will, Jem, and Tessa from the Infernal Devices series. An amazing, amazing series of books. I've talked about them in previous videos, but yeah. And I've also said that, with as much as I love the Mortal Instruments series, the Infernal Devices is the superior series in my opinion. And the characters, it's not like your typical love triangle, because I honestly think Tessa should be able to have both Will and Jem. I think Cassandra Clare should figure out a way where she can have both of them, because it's not fair. Because I want her to have both of them. Yes. And my third pick is Bertie Shakespeare from the Theater Illuminata series. It's one of my favorite series, and I love her. She's definitely one of my favorite female characters. She's kooky, she's quirky, she's, stubborn, and she's somebody that I would, love to hang out with, love to be friends with. And finally, I picked R from Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion. Again, one of my favorite, just absolute favorite male characters. He, if you don't know what Warm Bodies is, I did a video review for it. I think it was my very first video that I made on here. Warm Bodies is a zombie love story, and it is my favorite book of all time. And R is the protagonist in the book, and he is just a beautifully brought to life, no pun intended, character. And he's just amazing, and I love him so much. And he was my number one male character before I discovered Sam Roth. But he's a very, very close number two. Okay, least favorite characters. Again, I could babble about this for a really long time, and I'm limiting myself to two. First, for female character would be Wendy from Switched by Amanda Hawking. Yeah. She's snotty, selfish, self-centered, just a not very likable character at all. Just a brat. Basically, she's the female character that I would most like to smack the living shit out of. And as for a male character, I picked Noah from The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer. And you know what? I got a lot of flack on Goodreads because I gave Hush Hush a really good review. I gave it a 5-star review, and I got attacked by all these people who were saying, how could you like this book about this Patch guy who's this creepy stalker? Oh my god, what is wrong with you? You talk about a creepy stalker. Look at this Nora. And I did it again, oh my god. Noah. I'm sorry, it's late. I'm loopy from lack of sleep. Yes, Noah from The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer. I refuse. I've done this video 3 times. I'm not doing it a 4th time. So, damn it, you're just gonna have to bear with me here again. Yes, Noah from The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer. You talk about creepy creeper. He is like the definition of creepy creeper. There should be a picture of him in the dictionary. He's smarmy and just, oh, he makes my skin crawl. I mean, there were several scenes in that book that I read them and I wanted to go and take a shower after I read it because it was just, oh, yeah. Okay. What are your favorite books? Okay, I'm just going to give you my top 2 because I've read so many really amazing books this past year, and a lot of the books that I read this year are actually in my all-time favorite list, and I will be doing a video of my top 11 books of 2011, so instead of like repeating myself in that video, I'm just going to give you my top 2 favorite books of all time. The first one, like I said, is Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion. It is a zombie love story. I know what you think when you hear that. I thought the exact same thing, even though I love zombies. I didn't think it would work in a million years. It completely works, and it is amazing, amazing book. I should put a link to the trailer for this book, because the trailer is beautiful too. Isaac Marion, his writing style is like poetry. I said the same thing about Maggie Stiefvater, who wrote the Wolves of Mercy Falls series. It's just his words. There are so many quotes from that book because I read it first on my Kindle, and I have practically the entire book highlighted because it's just such a beautiful, beautiful story, and I cannot highly recommend that book. I can't recommend that book highly enough to people. And my second favorite book of all time is a book called December by Phil Rickman. And I know not very many people have ever heard of the book or the author. Phil Rickman is a very, very underrated British author who is primarily known for his mystery series with Marilee Watkins, but this book was written before that. And the basic plot of the book is it's set in Wales at this old abandoned abbey, and this band is there recording an album, and on the night they're there to record the album, all these horrible things happen, and this leads to the band breaking up and deciding to never release the music that they recorded that night, and it flash forwards to 14 years in the future, where this band's music has become very, very popular, and a record executive decides that he wants to try and reform the band and have them finish recording the album that was never released, which has been called the Black Album, at the same abbey where everything began. And the band very, very reluctantly agrees to get back together and try and finish this album, and all kinds of madness and depravity ensue. And I can't really say anything else about it because it would ruin the rest of the story, but it's not a very easy book to find, but let me tell you, it is by far and away the best thriller, horror, book that I have ever read in my life. And for years and years and years, for like however long it's been, I think it came out in the early 90s, up until this year, it was my favorite book ever. And it was only until I read Warm Bodies that it kind of knocked it down to number 2. But it is an amazing book, and you might have to do a little digging to try and find it, but trust me, it would be more than worth it because it's just phenomenal. So that's pretty much it. I'm really sorry this video ended up being so long. I didn't expect that I would babble this much, but yeah. So thank you for watching as always, and feel free to tag me. I like these videos. They're fun to do, even though I make a complete jackass out of myself like I did tonight. But yeah, so comment, leave me some love, people, and until next time, happy reading, guys. Thanks for watching.